What's going on? We just finished our Outback project right there. Now we're on to the more exciting stuff. In the last video, if you didn't see, I bought this 2011 STI that was in an accident. The car is totaled and I believe it did jump time, but I'm hoping the motor's okay because I'm planning on using the short block to fix this car. I already have some cylinder heads done from the machine shop. This is a interesting wrap, but it's going to be a cool car to bring back and drive around. So in this video, we're going to be tearing this thing apart. The 6-speed driveline, the Brembos, interior, and lots of other parts are going to be just sold on this thing. And I am going to use, like I said, hopefully the short block, if it looks to be good, and use it in this car so we can get this one going. So let's get this thing pulled into the garage and let's get tearing it apart. Like I said before, reason for part out is the frame rail you can see is pretty smoked there. The whole front end is shifted over this way. It's a 150,000 mile chassis that's now totaled with a rebuilt title, and it would not make any sort of sense to fix and try and save this thing. So it's getting parted out. Loads of parts came with this thing, bunch of stuff, a lot of just OEM random stuff. But if you guys want any parts off this thing, I list everything on Facebook. You can just type in Robert Berger on Facebook and I will pop up. Look on Marketplace, look on my business page, Berger Performance Parts. There's gonna be a bunch of parts on there. Yeah, I post in a ton of the Subaru groups on Facebook. So if you want your parts, go there. I don't really post on Instagram, YouTube, or anything like that too much, as there's not really a good method for it. I'm gonna pull everything on this car, motor, driveline, all that. Nothing spared. This will not be a rolling chassis by the time I'm done with it. I've got a little chassis trailer that I'll show you when I drop this thing on the on that trailer. So let's get rolling. The first thing I'm gonna do is see if this thing actually did jump time, or if the timing belt broke, or what's going on, because there is some damage on this side over here. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but let's take off the timing covers and see what it looks like under there. Well, the belt seems relatively normal. Actually, no, I think we did jump time for sure. Oh, yeah. So this passenger side here where it was hit is off a bunch. You can see these timing marks right here are lined up. The two marks here are facing down on this top cam gear. Then this bottom one, you can't see, but they're all the way down there. You can see them right there. So it's off a ton on this side, which most likely means that these exhaust valves on this side are bent. It just is what it is. It's kind of what I figured. I'm hoping the short block, like I said, is going to be okay, but we'll have to find that out when we pull the rest of it. I'm not going to mess with trying to get this thing running. It's not going to run good at all, and I don't want to run it with those valves potentially bent as far as they are. Now we know that there is at least valve damage. I'm just going to start with pulling the motor, and then we'll probably drop the subframe, steering rack, transmission, and we'll pull the drive shaft, and we might drop the whole rear end assembly as kind of one unit. We'll just see as we go. I don't part out a ton of these newer ones fully down to the chassis like I'm going to with this one. All this next stuff, unless I find something interesting, is going to be time lapses and just jump clips, but I will see you after that. Here's Red, our other barn cat. She's a little bit more skittish, likes to keep to herself. And there's our other one right there. He's a lot more friendly. Hey, buddy. Yeah, you're probably gonna just go right outside, aren't you? Oh. If you guys are watching this, I appreciate it. I'd like to find a good instrumental song to put over all my time lapses. So if you find one or you like one, let me know in the comments. Engine is out. Here we can better see how off time it is. This one might be slightly off time, but as you can see, those two lines are supposed to be facing those two lines, just like this side. So definitely bent valves, I would guess, on this side. Also, I pulled the flywheel off, and somebody, while working on it, must have dropped a socket down through the port there, because I don't see any marks on the flywheel, so I'm guessing it has not been there for a long time. 12mm socket. I'm guessing previous owner was just working on this thing and dropped it down there. Free Pittsburgh socket though. Next, I'm gonna start pulling this transmission. That means I also have to pull a bunch of the parts out of the car, but hubs, Brembos, everything's coming apart, and this thing's getting dropped on the trailer, hopefully tonight. This guy's got his little silent meows. I bought this brand new Sawzall, and he already knocked it off the ladder. He's a little crazy sometimes. Okay, we got everything disconnected in the transmission. Everything inside here, which you can kind of see disconnected in there. So we're pretty much done in the car. I'm gonna lift this thing up, pop the wheels off, and decide how much of this I want to drop as one unit. I'm just gonna decide as I go. We got to pull the exhaust. I'm gonna get as much done as I can tonight. Time lapse it. And I'll see you at the end of that with whatever I'm doing next. I already had a buyer lined up for the 6-speed swap and the hubs, and he wasn't going to buy the Brembos, but I asked him if he wanted the Brembos and the whole rear subframe, and he said yes, so I ended up just leaving everything together. All right, we're about ready to drop this subframe. I've got the brake lines disconnected and the electrical disconnected, and I believe it's just this bracket right here. So I'm going to take those two out, that bolt, and then the two there. And then we've got these rear ones. I'm going to save the rear ones for when we're basically close to on the ground. I'm going to put the floor jack underneath right here, and we'll unbolt those. Hopefully it comes down nice and smooth, and the customer is going to pick up just this whole assembly right here. I'm taking the suspension off, and other than that, I'll leave him the lower trailing arms, lateral arms, upper control arms, all that stuff. It's not too much of value to me, and it's just a lot easier for me to leave everything on. He is also buying the Brembos, so I'm going to leave those on for him as well. Same with the fronts, and we'll be good to go. Then we'll have to drop this. Got the transmission ready to go. Most of the cars I part out are 04 through 07 STIs, so I haven't really dropped a full subframe assembly out of a newer one like this, but it was actually a lot easier than the older ones. I just unbolted those 4 bolts, unbolted the struts up from in the car, and it dropped right down. It was really easy. I would definitely do it again if I have to part another one out. Just like that, pretty simple. The rear is undone, now onto the front, and then this thing's gonna be ready to drop onto the trailer. All right, I changed my plan. I'm just gonna drop this subframe separately. I'm gonna unbolt it, manhandle it. The transmission is supported, at least I hope, because if it's not, I can't hold the transmission and the subframe, so I would be maybe crushed. This is gonna be tough. We'll see how this goes. I'm lowering this so I can set the thing on my shoulder. Nice. Floaty. All right, now transmission next. Oh! Look at that. Transmission's out. This thing is ready for the chassis trailer. I gotta pick a few things up, and hopefully the next clip you see is the chassis trailer. All right, this boat trailer is pretty self-explanatory. It is a boat trailer. It's a chassis trailer, but it is an old boat trailer. These are what the boat would normally ride on. They sat down here. I cut that off and then welded this pipe to this plate and to the frame here, so it lifted it up. And then I set the fuel tank right on this, and then the rest of it just rides on the boat trailer. And it works super well for getting a car off the lift. We'll get this down close to the trailer and take a peek and see what we need to adjust, what we need to change. Forward a little bit more. Good enough for the car that it is. I'm gonna air up the tires on this thing and get this thing hooked up. You think I wouldn't be nervous by now, but it still always makes me a little bit nervous because it is a little sketchy. Let's see what kind of hole shot this thing does. Not bad. Barely even spun the tires. Oh, we got a little bit of dirt chirp right here. But here she sits. It's gonna sit like this. As I pull parts off of it, wing and trunk. There's stuff still in the interior. The seats are in there, center console. Still a lot of parts on this thing to sell, but that's gonna just sit here for now. Time for a little bit of cleanup. Whatever it is next, I'll see you then. I didn't have my mic on or anything here because there are a bunch of people around, but now we're tearing down the motor to see if the short block is gonna be good for the Wutang car that we need it for. Unfortunately, I did see some water come out of the exhaust ports and it looked a little rusty, so I was concerned about water sitting in the cylinder. I would imagine it's because it was turning over and then the accident probably locked this cam up. Yep. And then ripped the belt. I would think that's what happened. Not ideal. The oil, when I drained it here, looked pretty good, so now I popped the cam gears off and just on to tearing the motor down. Again, I didn't have my mic on, so I'm just going to let this play out, and I'll see you when I start talking again. What? I did not think. You saw the Forerunner? Yes. Yeah, it's ECU. Oh, it has some money. Just keep it or no? I would like pretty rusty under.
Oh, beautiful.
Brand new, dude.
Dude, look at the cross hatching.
I don't know about brand new, but it does look pretty good.
Brand new, dude.
Dang, dude. Oh, that sucks.
Oh, you're good, dude.
What is it?
Rust.
No, it's good.
I don't know, dude. I will get a better video showing this cylinder. Unfortunately, it does have some rust in it. I have a buddy that works at a machine shop and builds motors, and he said he would use some WD-40 and a Scotch-Brite pad to see if it cleans up and if there's any pitting. Get all the rust off, see if there's still cross-hatching, see if there's any pitting, and then go from there. If there's still cross-hatching and there's no pitting, he said he would run it, give it a try. I'm going to see how it looks in the oil pan before I decide too much, because if this looks clean, then that means the bottom end is probably good. If this has a bunch of sparkles and metal in it, then that means I'm not going to probably worry about using this short block. But if it's just that cylinder and we can clean it up and it's going to work, I'd love to use this short block because it will save me a lot of money. All right, let's see how this thing looks. Not bad. I mean, there's a little bit of gunk, but not bad. I think the bottom end's probably all good, if I had to guess. And based on the fact that he crashed it, and it probably wasn't rod knocking when he crashed it. So reasons like the cylinder, if it doesn't work out, is why I don't bet on the motor being 100% healthy, even though it just jumped time. I just don't do it. Another prime example. Let me get this pickup off, because I'm not going to be using this one anyways. I'll get this pickup off and we'll check out the cylinder, mess with it a little bit, see what goes on there. Got everything cleaned up pretty much. Now, unfortunately, so I took some WD-40 and some Scotch-Brite. There's still some marks. It doesn't really feel that different, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm willing to risk it. I wish this would have been a simple, just pull the heads off, clean it up, put the new heads on, but unfortunately it's not looking like that. I might give it a try. That's just what I gotta decide. But that's gonna be the end of the video for tearing apart the 11 STI to start the rebuild on the Wutang car. So I'm super excited. What do you think, buddy? What do you think? Or this past week we got the Outback running, we got the 11 STI parted out. This coming week I want to get the Wutang car in the barn for the first time, get that thing torn down, sell some parts off of it that we don't need, get all the parts that we need to put it back together, and start that project. So that should be nice and fun. I'm excited to get back onto the turbo cars rather than working on the non-turbo ones. Hope you guys are getting your projects done. I'll see you in the next video. After some careful consideration, I've decided I'm just going to use the short block and try it out because I'm going to keep the car for a while. Hopefully it works out.